And now, All the Dirt, gardening tips and advice, sponsored by Farm Credit and the Turf and Gardening Store.
You know, you've probably noticed, you've probably been there, I've been there, I've gone to the big box store, the local nursery, and gathered our plants together, taken them home, looking at our garden, start getting these things into the ground, and then what comes after that? Well, that's where we can get information from Dave Whitinger. He is the Executive Director of the National Gardening Association. Dave, these first few days after we've planted, maybe we got all busy this past holiday weekend and got some stuff in the ground. What are some of the first steps we need to take to make sure that we have healthy results and productive results of all the work we put into putting these plants in the ground?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's really exciting to come home from the store with a trunk full of plants. And so, yeah, one thing to keep an eye on is look at that plant, the plant tag that came with it, and make sure that you understand how big that plant is going to get. A lot of people don't, they're holding a small plant in their hand and they forget that that thing is going to get, bigger. And the tag will tell you how big it is. So make sure you leave space for those things to grow. Definitely mulch your plants. Don't just put it in the ground and hope for the best. You need to put down some mulch. We recommend wood chips is good. It looks good, holds the fertility better in the soil, holds the water better. It's just good and all the way around. Compost is an excellent thing to add to your garden. Depending on what your soil is like, and so also depending on what you're growing. If you're growing vegetables, then you're going to want to start thinking about fertilizing as the season progresses, because a lot of things, especially things like tomatoes and peppers, and a lot of the melons, they're just heavy feeders. And so you're going to want to have a fertilizing program ready. Like general rule of thumb, once these things start to flower, that's a good time to go ahead and add more fertilizer to the soil. What I recommend is that what you do is, scratch into the soil about 6 inches away from the plant and just lightly sprinkle in some fertilizer. And you can find that fertilizer in the same place where you bought your plants.
Okay, scratching into the soil. How important is it to be able to measure the moisture in the soil? Because sometimes we'll get a deluge of rain on one day and then we get a week in which it's dry and sunny. Is it important to actually have a moisture meter, or how can we make sure we're getting enough water to our plants?
Well, a good moisture meter is your finger. Just, pull the mulch back and poke in there and see what it feels like. If a lot of times you'll see that it seems dry on the surface, but underneath it's actually still moist. So it's important to get down in there and just actually find out what the roots are experiencing. You don't want to overwater. And that's also why I emphasize mulch. Mulch really helps maintain a more consistent moisture level. Without mulch, it just tends to just evaporate and form this hard, crusty surface. And then when rain does come, it has a hard time penetrating the soil because of that hard, crusty surface. So, so for checking moisture, pull that mulch back, poke your finger in there, and if it feels dry a couple inches down, then it's time to go ahead and water. And on the subject of watering, I would recommend soaker hoses and things like that, drip irrigation. That's much better than a big overhead spray.
Dave, I want to direct people to your website because you've got so much more information on there. And I think one of the things that's important as well, you've got a section there where we can put in the zone in which we are, actually our zip code, and then you'll direct us to information specific for our region. That's a good resource, and it's garden.org, and you'll find all the information that can help us right here in Virginia and elsewhere, actually. Dave Whitinger, Executive Director of National Gardening Association, thanks for spending time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And of course, again, garden.org, as Dave was talking about. And of course, you can get all the information about all the dirt, all the segments at WFXRTV.com.